All right, got it.
All right, so we're recording again. My name's Luke Angstadt. This is the Business of Esoteric Knowledge and Wisdom channel. I'm here with my co-host Peter in Serbia. We are both authors. We have books on Amazon. My book is titled The Musings of De La Pew. It's a 20-year investigation and study into the nature of reality, the nature of God, the universe, human beings, and the relationship between all of them. You'll find a hyperlink to it in the description page to this video. And Peter's going to introduce himself too. He's my co-host. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pick up where our conversation left off maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago with alchemy, and we were discussing Paracelsus. So after our introduction, we are going to pick up where the story left off with Paracelsus.
Sure. My name is Pete Rozovic. I mean, one of the names. And I'm the co-host of the Business of Esoteric Knowledge and Wisdom. And also I'm the writer on Amazon who has published a book called Nikola Tesla Third Reich and the Extraterrestrials, which explains the occult links and relationships between Tesla and Maria Orsic and the Nazis, and the constructing of the UFOs. Also, my second book is named Occulture, and the third one is The Mythologies of Techno World with the robot Sophia depicted on the front page. So all of them are available, and go buy them. Go buy Luke's book and go buy my books.
And Peter,
we're just gonna go further.
You said Peter Rusevich is one of the many names you're known by. You also go by Smooth Operator, right?
Well, yeah, Smooth Operator.
Yeah. Best to let people know you're also an opera singer too.
You're just or maybe probably when you remember the situation in The Devil's Advocate when Keanu Reeves had said to Al Pacino, "Where's your name?" And he said,
and many names.
So many names.
Yeah.
So or probably when you just said you mentioned Smooth Operator. And of course, it recalls the great composition made by or for Sade Adu. Mm-hmm. But it's a great coincidence because, and this is a huge announcement for our audience in both the Amazon and YouTube, that the upcoming book that we are about to set up for Amazon is just entitled Smooth Operator, believe it or not.
No, that's a coincidence right there.
So I said to my partner, do you think we're gonna be charged probably for taking
infringement? License infringement, copyright infringement.
For overtaking the title. And he said, if we ever manage to do a cover of Sade's song, we'll probably have to call her or her management in order to kindly ask them for the permission to. But in case of making a book entitled the same, probably we certainly won't be having that problem. Mm-hmm. And I just want to mention before we start over, were you following the defamation trial going on between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard?
Vaguely, yeah.
Yeah, which is going on momentarily. Well, a friend of mine has just recently sent me a message, and he said that Johnny Depp messaged him. It's Amir Kusturica is the great movie director. He's a friend of ours. So, and I just want to say that I've got the information that Johnny is currently right now wearing a tie, which is actually produced and bought in Serbia, and Saint Sava Temple organization has been bought for 10,000 dinars. That's lesser than $100. Oh, and he is wearing the tie right now, the cravat, which is a Croatian patent, of course, and he's wearing that in order to show his honor and praising for Serbian people, because we met Johnny. He's been here in the geodesic institution with Serbian current minister, and has been to Kustendorf several times. So we met him, because we've shared the same friends. Kusturica is the movie director, so probably his films. So okay, so this is a great salute for Johnny Depp if he's watching this after the trial, because he's busy right now. Doesn't have much
I
time.
hope he has some time to look at us later tonight or tomorrow. So we'll, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So Peter, I guess
Definitely.
I just wanted to remind our audience too on the reason why we're taking this in-depth look at alchemy through the Middle Ages, and that is because that the practices that these Middle-aged alchemists were doing, it hasn't really changed, right? I mean, we're still talking about hidden esoteric knowledge that is it deals with the basic principles and how the universe functions, and this information and knowledge is neutral, and for most of history, for thousands of years, it has been used with ill intent by various secret societies, and with the intention of keeping people imprisoned and enslaved, in particular into this 5 sense physical plane of existence. And the reason that we're taking a deep look into this is because that we can all be alchemists. I mean, all of us can be alchemists should we be privy to the secret workings of the universe. And ultimately, this conversation is being done for a spiritual transformation, and we are doing this to liberate the human spirit. And so I guess with no further preface, we're going to get back to Paracelsus, where we left off like a week ago or so.
Well, yeah, sure. It is assumed that one of the earliest Paracelsus teacher, to whom he was a pupil at the beginning, that he was a mysterious alchemist whose name, or at least one of whose names was Solomon Trismacene. So regarding Trismacene, there is really less amount of knowledge known about him, except that several years after his wandering around, he has, found a formula of transmutation, and actually he was claiming that he has made the enormous quantums of gold. So there is a magnificently illuminated manuscript of that author dating back from 1582, which is entitled Splendor Solis, which means in Latin the the splendor of the sun. Mm-hmm. It can be mistaken, solum solis. It can be mistaken with alone, soul, somebody in solitude. But it's solis implies the sun, the solar. So it's located in the British Victoria and Albert Museum now. So Trismacene was claiming that due to his alchemical knowledge, which was surely huge and massive, he was living for 150 years. So now we got the information, you and I in particular, and many of those information are even available on the internet, that there are the individuals whose bodiless systems age, esteem way much over 150 years. But this is probably for another show. This is going to be covered up more thoroughly.
And Peter, it's documented in cemeteries, I think, in England, where there are, dating to the 17th century, people. It's well documented, people that have lived to like 160, something like 165 years
old.
And
just want to make an objection or an announcement and a hint to our audience that our bodies are crafted, are naturally constructed. Whoever or whatever was creating that, it was the consciousness, as we've previously stated. They were constructed anyhow to live over 150 years. So don't blame genetics, blame the fudgery, the food. for the lower amount of years. But this shows one of this show's great purpose is to increase the natural potential of human beings to get over 150 years and to reach out the physical immortality. I'm repeating, to reach the physical immortality. So there is one very interesting exclamation or an acclamation appearing in his treatises and in his writings, which are entitled the Alchemical Wanderings. And that is an opus, a scripture for which is assumed that it speaks about his quest for the philosopher's stone. And I think that's the momentum where we stopped in the previous session.
Mhm.
So just let us take a look on what's written over there. I quote, research that what you are, that what you're a part of, that what you know about that. Because that is truly what you are. Everything beyond yourself is also within and inside of yourself. Thus wrote Trismegistus. So it's written in the ancient, obviously hieratic lingo of the medieval times. But it perfectly depicts the basic the alchemical secrets, which clearly say as above, so below. So that's what is inside of you also lies out of you. So
I have a question. I have a curious question because I remember when we were talking about Nikola Tesla, you said how Nikola Tesla would practice meditation, and just what the Hindus do, and it wasn't by trial and error that he was able to access the ionosphere. It was just by him sitting down, stilling the mind, being at peace, and he was able to, by virtue of this spiritual experience, have direct access to the ionosphere. So. Were these were the alchemists in the Middle Ages practicing a similar spiritual meditation practice? Did they have something akin to what Tesla was doing, or what kind of methods were they using? And how well codified are these methods? I mean, if somebody really wanted to go out there and practice it and like step by step, how difficult would it be for somebody to find the step-by-step practices that these middle-aged alchemists were doing?
Well, certainly alchemists were trying to achieve the immortality of the physical biosystem by usage of chemistry. But instead, many of the later and even earlier alchemists were definitely trying to achieve the same goal by the mediation and usage of physics. So I would certainly say that, to answer your question, that Tesla was amongst those who were trying to achieve the physical immortality, not for himself because it didn't, but I'm aware that it couldn't, that he could, but he somehow didn't due to certain reasons. But to achieve that goal for the others by the mediation of physics.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely there ain't no such a large dichotomy between those two branches, nevertheless, because everybody, starting from Michael Faraday to the modern scientists, would certainly call it the chemo or the chemophysics or the physicochemistry.
Mm-hmm.
So Albert Einstein, nevertheless, has claimed and announced the possibility of achieving the physical immortality in case if an individual steps into a module and is sent towards the infinite immeasurable, vast areas of the universe, whilst traveling by the speed of light,
So I guess,
which is the
so I guess Peter, my question is like, is there a methodology that is repeatable,
oh
and is it stored somewhere, and is it, outside, the far deepest basements of the Vatican in a hermetically sealed container? I mean, is there somewhere else where the layman, or me, consider, obviously you are so much more well versed in this subject than me, and I am a novice to say the very least. But say if I wanted to go on the internet or do some homework on my own, would I be able to find a list or of methodology that I would be able to repeat, even in my own stumbling way? Is there some place where I could find that, I guess?
well, I think I really believe that I don't only think, but I was dedicating a lot of time to observing and thinking about that the meditation as a technique uh, is way much applicable and appropriate to the Eastern section, meaning the Tibetans or Sufi techniques or the yogis.
Because Peter, I keep on getting this sense, this common thread of, it's a balancing of the spiritual of spirituality and physics, and the application of the hard scientists of chemistry, of the hard sciences of chemistry and physics, and then also spirituality as well. And there's like, to borrow Nico's phrase from the previous episode, it's a synthesis of spirituality with the hard sciences. I mean, am I fair in deducting that there?
Yeah, sure, definitely. If Nico said that, that's certainly true,
Well,
because that's
I
my
was just talking about borrowing the word synthesis, but I mean, it sounds to me as if what we're talking about here with alchemy is a synthesis of the hard sciences of, the science of chemistry and physics with spirituality. I mean, it's kind of like the marriage of those.
oh yeah, definitely. That's the unium mysticum, or unio mystica, the sacred alchemical wedding or marriage, that as has been expressed by William Blake.
Mhm.
And you get the same topic related to the works of Aleister Crowley and the early magicians, okay, and the later magicians. And you got that in Bruce Dickinson's movie, which is entitled the same, the Chemical Wedding. And yeah, certainly it's a mixture, a blend between the scientific methods by usage of chemistry and physics at the same time, and the meditation, which represents the mental alteration or altering of the potential and the frequency of the cells that the body system is consisted of.
Yeah.
So
It's not, I mean, as I follow these stories, as I follow your recollections of these alchemists, that's what I keep coming back to I keep seeing it as a union between the two of those, spirituality and science.
yeah, sure, definitely.
And
Yeah,
a lot of people think of that as being a very new idea. That, but it's not. I mean, what we're seeing here with our investigation into the 13th century in alchemy is that this marriage between science and spirituality has been with us as a human race for a very long time.
yeah, sure. Actually, that was always the same very field, although it was somehow dichotomized or
Mhm.
differed,
Mhm.
probably even viciously at certain points. But yeah, those were always the same two things. And one of the techniques that many were using were also the usage of the mercury sulfate, the derivative of mercury. And really, when it's swallowed at the proper lunar momentums, and when it's mixed with certain uh, kind of nutrition at the proper time, it certainly does the same effect to every histomaterial in the organism. It actually preserves the liver, the kidneys, the eyeballs, the heart, the brain, and they're optimal, which means the highest possible, not the average one. Optimum, optimus in Latin means the best one, the best possible. Ottimo in Italian.
Mhm.
So,
And you said by that's a mercury sulfate, or what was that?
oh yeah, that's the mercury sulfate, or I think it's HgSO4.
Mhm.
I will later reach out for the formula. Uh, not the trivial formula, but the I think the stereometric formula,
Mhm.
because it's important for those who want to produce it. And one of the alchemy's aims is the production of the philosopher's stone, which has two branches of two forks of two paths of following. The first one is turning the elements into gold, as we previously stated. And the second, and more important one, is the achievement of the physical immortality. And the third one, as we've said previously, would be to produce and to achieve the mental alchemy, when the meditator, meaning the alchemist, is transformed completely into light.
Mhm.
And nevertheless,
This is what I wanted to get. And Peter, this I felt like, I know that we originally wanted to discuss Paracelsus, but I felt like this is necessary because as deep as you go into the history, I wanted to give this not background, but I wanted to give a broader purview to people to what we're talking about here. That's what we're talking. We are talking about spiritual. We are talking about spiritual transformation, and I come back to this. It's one of my favorite phrases, but the liberation of the human spirit globally. So that's what we're talking about here. When you're talking about transforming ourselves into bodies of light, that is what we are talking about here.
yeah, sure. And yeah, nevertheless, our bodies deal and do with the same alchemical processes each time when we eat,
Mm-hmm.
or also the separation of the consciousness from the biosystem, leaving it and entering the bardo tunnel, or the state in between, and later on breaking through the lock zone wall, which means the primordial clear light that is perceived up above, like a bulb or the sun. That is also the alchemical process, because that is the transformation from one state and substance in the realm of the psyche into an entering of that particular consciousness into the consciousness, which emerges as the clear light. So we were also discussing that, and we were I'm making an announcement. We will dedicate one of the forthcoming shows to the Tibetan Book of the Dead.
Something else you're doing,
on.
Peter. I don't know if you got a chance to listen to Nico, my conversation with Nico, but you were synchronizing with Nico with when Nico was discussing. He made a recent revelation about what the great work of the Illuminati is, and he was talking about how the great work is eliminating the duality in the universe by synthesizing the opposites in the universe. And what, in a nutshell, he was talking about is that the Illuminati see the demiurge, when the demiurge created this world of duality with light and dark and good and evil and hot and cold, and obviously ad infinitum ad nauseum. But the Illuminati see this creation that we live in right now of duality as being a mistake, and that they see their great work as the rectifying of the mistake of creation, and they're going to rectify the mistake of creation with this synthesis of opposites in the universe to impel the ascension of the human spirit. That's their plan. And Nico and I, we're unclear on whether, I mean, obviously it begs the question, why all the secrecy, why all the deception? If your motives are, or if you have good intent with your motives, why do it with the cloak and daggers and keeping it behind the, why do it, why all the deception, and why all the secrecy, and why all the misery, and why forcing people to wear a muzzle and pretty much grovel for brackish water and breadcrumbs from the government? And I'm exaggerating, but not too much. And we could definitely see the future ending up like that. But we're ultimately, even with, like, I come back to what Nico was talking about with this synthesis. It's also a form of alchemy. We're all looking for this spiritual transformation. I mean, that's what we're trying to do. We recognize that we are in some kind of prison farm on this planet, whether it's of our own making or if it's something else. But I'm finding a lot of corollaries between, and the timing is quite interesting too, because Nico had this information that he told me like a week before he got him on the show that this is what he wanted to talk about, and the fact that you were talking about something very similar with this synthesis, and it's incredible. Yeah, it's really amazing. It's coincidence on top of each other, which isn't coincidence. So I guess what I'm saying, Peter, is that we're going to continue this conversation with Paracelsus, but I feel like the more I listen to it, because I'm still new to it, I'm still new to alchemy, but the more I kind of, the more I digest it, and the more I kind of read between the lines, I'm realizing that we have an even much longer conversation to have here. And I hope our audience is willing to stick around for the show, for the ride.
Sure, and there is one potential problem for making that goal. Time is the constant zero, and time stands still while the matter is moving in motion within it. But actually, our internal time has flipped off like a blink of an eye. So we're 3 minutes left to the end.
So you see the notice in the upper left-hand corner now.
The current session, yeah.
Well, I'm relieved that time is a constant, so it means that we have all the time in the world, and I believe that though too. I mean, I'm saying that a little bit tongue in cheek, but I mean it as well, Peter. I do. I mean it.
Sure, definitely. Can I make a big announcement for our
sure.
audience that the forthcoming session will be dedicated to Nicolas Flamel, or Nicolas Flamel. And that's one of the greatest alchemists of all times. Because when we discuss a topic, we have to mention the biggest practitioners and the biggest connoisseurs of the one, right? So I think it's worthy of mentioning that Paracelsus has been the official creator of the Swedish branch, or the Sweden bitter, which was made up originally of 56 different herbs and plants, and some of them were very bitter. By taste, I know the original recipe because I was making it, and later on has been popularized by Maria Treban, the Austrian Jewish herbalist, who's sold over 10 million copies, or maybe even more, and the books of alchemy and the herbalism, and treating various diseases by the mediation of herbs. But the original inventor of Swedish branch, Swedish bitter, was Paracelsus, definitely, and it contains the ingeniousness within itself. The bottle of Swedish bitter contains his geniusness, because those were the highest alchemical and esoteric awarenesses and insights.
Mhm.
And that was a mere bliss because it's been using for treating various kind of diseases. It's a panacea. I think I mentioned that before.
I did. And
Okay, it's
Peter, what I want to do is I want to pick this up. You want to pick this up in 20 minutes? And we want to pick up this herbal brew that we're talking about, and also the alchemist's ultimate goal, turning us into bodies of light. And kind of that
sure,
will be our segue into the next alchemist. Would you be available in the next 20 minutes?
definitely,
All
absolutely.
right, Peter. I'll be transferring this one over, and then I will see you in less than 20 minutes.
See you there.
All
I'm
right,
ready
I will
for
see
it.
you. I'm looking forward to it.